kind of parallels some of a topic I wanted to speak about, which was, let me get his name right. I can't remember. I've got a clip to play as well. What's my man's name? FA Chairman Greg Clark. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me play the clip and then I can give maybe a bit more context. This is a techie one. My headphones are in my ears, but I want to show you the sound as well.
Is it the clip that you sent in the other day, yeah?
Yeah, it's only a 10-second clip. Let me play the sound, actually. One sec. It's only like 10 seconds. Can you hear?
Yeah.
What happens to high-profile female footballers, high-profile coloured footballers is, if I look at what happens...
I think it started again. That is it, essentially.
I don't think we... Did you not hear that properly? Because I didn't.
Should I play it again? I mean, this is...
If I look at what happens to high-profile female footballers, high-profile coloured footballers is...
That's all it. That clip is just him saying... The problem with what he said was that he used the term coloured footballers.
Yeah.
Is subsequently, I don't know if he's stepped down or he's been fired.
He's resigned, yeah.
He's resigned, okay. He was, I guess, former FA chairman on specifically heading up diversity, which I think is more controversial.
Mm-hmm.
This has been doing the rounds. I was listening to it as I do all the time now on talk radio thing on BBC London, Eddie Nestor show. No, this is drive time in the evening on the way home. Starts in the morning, Eddie on the way home. What was I going to say? So I'm just tuned into this, yeah? And they're talking about this story, but for whatever reason, the BBC won't let him use what he's referring to as the C word.
Oh, wow.
Being coloured, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm listening to it.
Wait, say that again? Say that again, Rich?
Basically, the BBC, they're having this conversation. People are calling in all of this. But he is not allowed, and he said he thinks it's stupidness. The BBC won't allow him to use the word coloured while speaking about Greg Clark's use of the word coloured. So it's like I'm listening to conversation, I'm taking in this and that. I'm like, but what? He keeps saying the C word. I'm like, obviously they can't say the C word. The big C. Yeah, this is a lowercase thing.
Yeah.
So I was very confused to a point, and then a few people called in and they used it in it. Like they're not supposed to, but they used it, and he's like, "Oh, please don't say that again." And I was like, like it all clicked.
Yeah.
Do you think he should have been? I guess he resigned, so it's a bit different. But I think he's been pushed in that direction more than he probably just chose to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a problem with him using the word coloured?
Yeah. And also, by looking at this video, I think he probably should have resigned about 10 years ago.
His resignation had nothing to do with him using the word. He's just fucking he's had enough. He's tired.
It was time, fam. But I think it boils down to stuff that we've discussed previously on here and in our own sort of group. It's like an education thing again.
Okay, can you tell me more?
What it can boil down to, of why you shouldn't, because he probably grew up where it was normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just grown up and then he's just said it now. Whereas, people now know you shouldn't. You don't say it.
Yeah. When I first heard it, I think you put it in the group. My first reaction was, first I thought, wow, that's not mad, but I was like, oh, okay. But then I kind of thought, what's the big deal? But I understand what the big deal is. Does that make sense?
I hear you, Liz. Yeah.
I was a little bit like, and to what Mike said, it was, he shouldn't have used the word, and no one should use the word. But at the same time, he's from an era and a time where that was probably the normal word to use. And that doesn't, I'm not defending him in using a word, but it's just you're talking and things come out. So then that's just what you're going to say. But then on the flip, and again, to use Rich's term, mental gymnastics, I did think that, yeah, we can't be having that. No matter what you think or where you've come from or how old you are, the term's outdated. If you're going to speak publicly, you need to speak correctly, because it could be the same way that someone uses the N word. I'm not now going to turn around and be like, oh yeah, he's from a time where it was like, that's just not going to stand. So I get why people are upset and why he's resigned because of it. But at the same time, I kind of think
you wasn't like,
yeah, there could have been worse things that he had said.
Okay.
I think in the context of how he used the word, doesn't seem that bad to me. But the fact that he's used it raises questions.
What were you lot saying?
Dan, what do you think? I mean, I guess you're someone that's probably closer to football than us all.
I'd say like similar to Les's piece. I'd probably say his intentions don't seem malicious in how he delivered it. However, I feel that if you are like that out of touch and you're supposed to be someone who's like working on diversity in that, to not be aware that is a somewhat of an outdated term. I feel like, yeah, you're not well read enough in the area that you are working in.
Yeah.
So
that's what shocks me the most.
Yeah,
Richie just saying that.
You're not up to the standard, and yet for something so important and as big a role as that, you probably
should be clued up.
Sorry, go on.
It does go back to a time also. I have been told that back in the day there was a time where it was deemed offensive to
be called black, right?
Black people black. So then people said, no, call us coloured, or some people said call us coloured, and then coloured was in for a bit, and then people were like, no, not actually coloured, stay the same colour. So
coloured was a term of endearment,
so,
really, isn't it?
It's a bit of a sticky one. So if it seems he is a dinosaur and isn't aware of kind of developments in what people want to be referred to. So yeah, he's dropped the ball, and in these big positions, he's not someone that's like pushing trolleys in Sainsbury's or whatever. It's a big role, whereby you're scrutinized and eyes are on you. So it's a bit of sorry, man, you got to go.
I completely echo Dan's point. I think that even if he could have arguably been trying to use the language, in his opinion, that was more sensitive, as opposed to black. Actually, I remember a time, where was I? I was in Sri Lanka. I met this English couple, older, chatting to them, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, telling me some story. I think I must have told them family from Jamaica, blah, blah, blah. And he was telling me about when they flew to Jamaica. And about some weird story about some guy who was sitting behind this guy in a plane, vomited behind him, and he had to sit with the vomit for the rest of the trip or whatever. But he said the coloured guy behind me, and have you ever been electrocuted before, an accident or had a shock? When man said, I don't I get that. When it happens. But I think intent is something that we always need to judge, particularly when we're talking cancel culture and whatnot. I knew his intentions wasn't that. But I think at the time I didn't. I should have corrected him and said, you know what, say black, because if not, man can just continue with their stupidness, but thinking they're doing the right thing. And it's a teachable moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think you should just cancel man, especially when his intent may have been. I think he actually said, I don't know which one I'm supposed to use as well. Again, he's from that generation. So I'm like, there's a bit of understanding on my part as a receiver. I don't expect you to use the most up-to-date language. If you were saying something else and you're using up-to-date slang, I'd be just as surprised. But particularly in his role, it's indicative of that you're from a different time and you're no good at your job in a way.
This is why representation matters, fam.
So yeah, get him out.
You need
John
more
Barnes.
diverse boards, panels,
Yeah.
organizations.
So just simply, even if you just want to avoid situations like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
There are loads of other
What
reasons,
did
right? Like, that
Barnsley
shouldn't
say
be
on
the
this?
reason.
I know he's
Barnsley, you know,
He spoke on it, yeah.
He spoke bare fast as usual.
Rapid.
He was like, he wasn't happy about it. He wasn't happy that he was forced to resign or whatever. He said that this is kind of bad for black people, and we lose an ally. We've lost an ally. I'm always funny when people say that use the term ally. I don't really like it. But yeah, we've lost an ally.
In Greg Clark.
In Greg Clark. And ultimately we're saying it's like a teachable moment, which on that part I would agree with them on. I just have trouble with the lost and ally thing. One of the things that came up during that conversation, people were calling up, and something I've spoken to, I might have told you about this guy that I work with. Well, he's like the head of one of the companies I work with. Mixed race guy. I recently had a chat following the Black Lives Matter thing, just a casual chat. Then the next time he hit me up, he's like, he's the president of the company. I have a good relationship with him. He hit me up and said he's drawing up a whole new diversity policy. And he wanted to hear my thoughts on it. So I was picking his brain and whatnot about it. And this also came up in that conversation. And people don't like coloured, but people often don't have a problem with people
of colour. Yeah.
And I get why white people can be confused by this. What are you?
It's a slight landmine.
It is.
It's
what
very
are your thoughts
techy.
what are your thoughts on people of color? Or like, well, POC just doesn't sound good. But yeah, people of color. What are your thoughts on using that?
Sounds like BAME and that.
Yeah.
And even BAME, yeah, we spoke about that as well. I was like, I personally
I've never really thought of it like that. Yeah.
I think with those terms, it's trying to speak about a group, because it's not only black people. It's trying to speak about a group of people, non-Caucasian, or however you want to put it, what the term is, under one, without having to mention each individual one. Again, similar to my initial thoughts on when Greg Clark said what he said, I'm a bit like, I don't have the answer to what the correct term should be. So I can't say I want to be referenced as this. But I just think...
I mean, you kind of can. But you can also say that I don't want to be referred to as that as well.
Oh, yeah. I think that's easier. It's easier to say what I don't want to be referred to than what I want to be, if that makes sense. So I guess for me, it's just refer to me as black. I'm cool with that. That's where we can move with that. But at the same time, if someone says coloured or people of colour or BAME, I get it. I kind of like, outside of that, what do you refer to black people and non-white people as? Like that's my thing. I can't think of a term that you can use, but I know what I don't want to be called.
That's half of it, I guess. You're halfway there, kind of thing. I don't know how.
So what conclusion did you lot make, Rich?
What, when I was chatting to the guy?
Yeah.
We didn't really come to a conclusion. It was just people of color, the technical. His thing's techie anyway, because the company have a big presence in Asia. And he's supposed to write this big diversity policy that's company wide. He said in Asia, you've got Chinese privilege. They don't you've got in Malaysia, their thing's different. I was like, there's no like one system that's going to fit all here. It's going to vary. People of color, I kind of get why it's used. I feel like it's more of an American term. I don't think we use it that strongly over here. And I get its usage, but I do have an issue with it. Particularly, it's a similar issue I have with BAME. I think it's too wide a brush to paint so many people in. I think there are difference to, like, when we talk about BAME a lot these days, we think about like employment. And I think, from the companies I go to and things I see, I don't think, say, Asian people necessarily are fighting the same battle in employment as black people. but BAME will make you think that it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's too wide a brush but I get why it's kind of there.
Yeah.
So I think it's somewhat, these terms are somewhat useful, but they're not useful in every case. And sometimes we need to be specific about certain things.
I was just about to say that. I think when you're trying to, like you said with the employment thing, it's not equal amongst everyone. So you have to be specific in who it is you are referring to. Same with the people that are more likely to catch or contract COVID. That BAME term that was being chucked around everywhere, but we all know that it's not the same. So you have to be specific in how and when you use the term, and just not as there's a group of them lot there, so we're just going to call them that.
Blanket umbrella term.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan,
That's how you can brush over things, you know.
Yeah, Dan, you look like you was going to say something.
Oh no, with what is the term he should have used? He probably wouldn't have got as much stick if he said black.
But he said black.
Yeah,
he's still employed.
Probably would have been cool still. But yeah, it's all depends on who you're talking to as well. Because someone out there will be like, people of color, no, not for me. That don't work. And yeah, when you think about the term black, like, it's a bit mad when you dig deep.
Negative connotations.
It's fucked, man. Fucking manfield.
Should we be giving these people a chance to correct their said mistake?
Now, this is the interesting part.
So Greg Clark, for example, if he said coloured players or coloured people, whoever, do we take that and say, right, you've made a mistake? Like, that's not the term that we use, or we don't want to hear. We don't use those terms. So you need to do better. And when we're referring to, again, people of color, black people, Asians, whoever, these are the terms that we use. Should we be giving these people a chance?
So go on, Rich. No, go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, so if he was given a chance to come out and say, oh, sorry, because X, Y, and Z.
He initially apologized, didn't it? And then he resigned.
Oh, and then he got the thing. Oh, so they didn't have it.
No.
Okay.
I
So I was going
the
to say,
pressure might have ramped up, innit?
Yeah, people might have.
See, and that's another thing to kind of go back to what we were saying before about seeing something and then taking it as that. I've not seen the apology. I've not seen.
I think so. He did the state. He said his statement.
Dan's right. Yeah.
Dan Collymore kicked off a bit of fuss. That's where I saw it first.
Yeah.
Then 3 hours later, I saw he's apologized. Then 5 hours later, so 2 hours after the apology, he resigned. Yeah.
This one's a bit harder because of his job. I think that bit was the techie bit for me. Still, that's a bit much. But
in answer to Liz's question, and it's probably anti-black, but like I feel that you should judge him on what he's done to this point.
Yeah.
Like if he has done 1,000 initiatives where he's helped, inner city disadvantaged black kids, let's say, and then he said this,
give him a black.
Am I too forgiving? I don't know.
Is
it enough? And like, I'm happy to say that I'm not sure that chasing him out the building is the right answer. He fucked up. You dropped the ball, and that's how things work.
I hear you, Dan.
But if you look back through his resume, there's no inkling of this.
It's like when people say like, "Oh, you do loads of good for like a friend or whatever." Then one
time I don't come to your birthday.
Yeah. That's what sticks, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's, the reason I ask is I think it's important that we learn or we teach people where they've done wrong. I was chatting to, I think I mentioned it a couple episodes ago, I chatted to my sister about like having like these Black Lives Matter conversations. She's like, she just doesn't entertain it. She's like, I'm not having this conversation with you. But me, on the other hand, I'm like, yep,
I'm very open to it.
Let's have this chat. And people at work always do it. And I've had conversations with so many people about it. And I'm like, if there's an opportunity for me to get you to think differently or change the way you think completely, then I'm doing a disservice to my people if I don't. Because then you leave,
not right.
you leave this conversation thinking, one, that I probably don't care if I say I'm not ready to have, I don't want to have this conversation with you. And two, you're just going to go away and continue to think the way that you thought when you came to me. So if it's the terms that you use, you're going to go away and continue to refer to black people as coloured, or use the incorrect terms, or think it's cool to say nigger when you hear a song in front of a black person, or just say it in general. If there's a chance for me to teach you in a way, or tell you that, yeah, don't ever say that word, you're going to go away, and the next black person you interact with, you're going to think twice about how you interact with them, or what kind of terms that you use. So for me, and similar to what Dan says, I'm like, you got to look at this a bit more broadly rather than just that clip is what, all 5, it's not, I was going to say 5 minutes, it's all like 10, 15, 20 seconds. We have to look at, one, the whole interview, and broadly just at Greg Clark, and just see how he's operated in his time. And see if there's no like inkling or sign of he's put a set of people down, or he's spoken wrongly about a certain group of people, then maybe it's just a genuine mistake. He's an older man. He's probably, like we said, used to using certain terminology. It might have slipped, or he just was speaking fluently, going, and then it's come out. And then after he's thought, or someone said, or he's thought, shit, shouldn't have said that. I think it's quite important, more important than people give it credit, that we need to start teaching and letting people know when they've done wrong, and just give people a chance. You can't cut someone's head off just because they spoke ill.
Yeah, that's what I said initially, innit? Just the education thing.
Yeah, I'd agree, Les, man. I think we have to. It's techie because it's like it's in a lot of these situations, it's on the victim somewhat to have to be the empathizer, which is to like, you have to open up and you have to be forgiving of whoever it is, which I don't like the idea of. But if we are truly, and I think this is an unpopular opinion, and as Dan said, it can come across anti-black. If we are really trying to make progress here, we need to, you can't make these progress without these conversations. We need to communicate. You need to feel free to say what you want to say, even though it might piss me off. And I need to be able to do the same and correct you where you might have taken a misstep. Because if not, we're not helping, and we're only driving people further away.
Yeah, he's and I don't really care for his feelings or whatever, but he's leaving the conversation or this interaction with a "I've been chased out by them" kind of thing, as opposed to someone being like, "You can't say coloured because of X, Y, Z." People don't say this anymore. Like even it's this one is.
I hear you.
He's a dinosaur, innit? Like he's old. He said the wrong term, but at the same time, two things can be right. Like I think that there could have been an opportunity for, and I think also the climate as well. If this happens in a different year,
Dan,
I'm not sure. But everyone wants to be a friend, an ally.
I hear you.
There it is, a non-optical ally who aren't just saying things or posting pictures. They're actually getting stuff done. They're getting the dinosaurs out of these positions. But I feel if it happens in another year,
potentially a different result.
Do you know? And again, that
non-story.
This year or this time that we're in, it's done good. But then I also think it's been a bit of a hasty one. In that, we'll take Greg Clark, for example. He said one thing wrong. He's gone. There's no room for correction. No
nuance.
Nothing.
No judging of his intent. Nothing.
No room for teaching. No room for learning. It's like you've done wrong. Later. And I think we kind of need to do better than that. Like, give him a bollocking for what he said. Don't let him get off lightly. Rinse him. Get on him. But just make sure you drive the point home that you cannot say those things. Like, if that's what you think and that's what you've been saying, this ain't how we're moving to 2021, saying these things or this train of thought or these actions. It's got to do better. But like Dan said, I think if this happened last year, Greg Clark's probably still in the job.
Non-story, fam.
Someone might not even clip the video. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, crazy. Like I said, I'm for it because it seems like there's action being taken on these things, and it's not like we're saying, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Last year, if it happened or a different time, probably people are like, oh yeah, like he said the word coloured, question marks. But now it's you can't let him get away with that. So we got
get him out of it.
Yeah, we got to punish him. We got to teach him a lesson, which in some contexts is good, but then it doesn't need, or we need to be careful how we apply that to every different situation.
The techie one, man. And I've had a look at some of the candidates who could replace him. So there's like Paul Elliott, mixed race, black man. There's also people who said like Enya Luko, possibly. But then there's also someone who has been mentioned, and his name is Peter McCormick, and he gave Luis Suarez legal representation during the Patrice Evra race route. So
that's
be careful what you wish for, man, because you get rid of that guy, and then you replace him with someone who has a history of very, very mad views.
And this is what we're saying. And this is what we're saying. So if Mr. McCormick comes out and says something mad in 6 months, then we look at his track record and be like, well, he's represented a man that has not made it clear, but has had certain views on a particular type of people or group of people. So then don't be surprised when he says it. Someone who has done by the book or done good and has had one slip up. It's
due diligence, man. It's mad.
Due diligence.
We need some serious background checks, man.
Let us know what you think about this as well. The last 2 topics have been a bit
decisive ones.
Decisive.
Techie ones. Yeah, people of color. You running with that? BAME, colored, black. What term do you like? What term do you use? What don't you use? Let us know, man.
What term should we use? Is there something that no one's thought of that you think works?
Do you know what? Something I was thinking. I think like
the census comes out and just do a big vote.
Something I'm thinking about recently. Like you see, like racism. I think we need to stop using racism as well as a term. I don't like it. It's too broad. When talking about black people, it's too broad because it's not just. I feel like a lot of it is. Let's call it like. I don't know. It's like you see, like anti-Semitism is something quite specific.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with people that are non-black, like turning around to me and saying I'm being racist. Like when the history and stuff is completely different. I think sometimes some things are like maybe anti-black is maybe like a better term for in some cases. But yeah, they're just my thoughts. Sorry, didn't expect to go there.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that. And
that's for another show.